how I made around $15,000 off of a $200 investment. I'm going to break down the numbers here with print on demand. It's pretty awesome to look at things in the behind the scenes, or not really behind the scenes, but basically connecting the dots going backward instead of forward. Around June of 2022, which would be almost 2 years now, and I think it was late June. I can't remember the exact date, but late June 2022, there was a tool called the Unlimited Photos tool. And when it came out, I thought it would be perfect for my Redbubble stores. Now, mind you, at the time I was doing Society 6 as well, but it wasn't something that I was heavily focused on. And I figured with my virtual assistants, on Redbubble, I figured I would buy the tool for my virtual assistants, and I had two at the time. And I think I was maybe training one. I don't really remember. But mind you, this is a long time ago, so, memory could be fading a little bit. But I paid the virtual assistants to basically, one person was going to download images, the other person was going to upload them from a tool that looked like this. In fact, if I actually go ahead and show you guys, if you look here on the right-hand side of my browser, if I click on this button, this is the exact same old tool. It's called the Unlimited Copyright-Free Images tool. And at the time, it looked exactly like this. The new tool currently looks like this, right? So it looks different, obviously. With time, they make updates, they make changes, etc. But I was looking at my computer, one of my older ones, and I actually found the tool on one of my older computers. And I was just curious. I was just curious to see if it worked. Because as you guys know, when the new tool comes out, I'm always going to be uploading off of the new ones. And so I was looking here, and indeed it does work. I actually made a search. I searched for the word wolf, right? And I had this picture come up, right? And so this is the image right here. And so I was just curious I started looking at my old Redbubble accounts and things like that. And this was actually one of the accounts that I kept. I didn't sell this account. I kept it. And it's basically literally just images, just like some of the ones that you're seeing here on a Redbubble account. And when I upload them to Redbubble, it's not just me. I mean, I have virtual assistants that do this, like I said. I invested a total of maybe $200. And the reason why I say that is because if you look here, this tool costs $9.99 a month, and if you pay yearly, it costs $99 a month. Now, I know for a fact I bought about 2 licenses. Maybe I bought more, but I know I bought 2 for my virtual assistants. And if we take just, the estimations, like just broad estimations of what my virtual assistants did, I invested $200. My virtual assistants are going to work for me regardless, whether it's on your Redbubble, TeePublic, Society 6, whatever they're going to do, they're going to work for me regardless, right? So I'm paying them every single month to work for me, to work on these tools. They're taking images, they're uploading them into Redbubble. Now, I looked at some of the numbers. In the first year, right, that I actually made sales off the account, it generated like $7,000, the whole entire account. And then the next year, which is pretty so far now, the account generated about $8,500. So we're talking about close to $15,000 after the 200 expenses, or maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less. Like I said, these are estimations, and I was just looking back, kind of feeling a nostalgic feeling, looking back, and this was a strategy that is literally, and I don't want to sound get rich quick, because as you guys know, making $8,000 a year on an account is not a lot of money, but it's kind of like money served on a platter in a way. It's not like I worked hard for it. It's not like I had to break a sweat working for it. I simply created a system, and the system worked. That's all it is. If you look at people who are very, very rich, like Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, of course there's the first instance of really, really hard work, right? But there can't be the idea that they make the right moves can't be overlooked. For me, this was one of the moves that I made that were purely correct. Like I said, I don't know what the percentage is, the return on that. What is that, like I don't know, 500, 300% return. I don't know what the numbers are, right? I'm not a math guy. I don't know what the numbers are from the return standpoint, but it's a huge return. And all I did, like I said, was have my virtual assistants take pictures and upload them. It was easy because I never had to have them worry about any kind of photos or anything. And when I say photos, I mean like I never had to have them worry about graphics. I never had to have them worry about any of that kind of stuff. And I did have a system for making the images larger if they happen to be smaller, because at that time, not all the images were perfectly large in size. Some were, some weren't. And it was a great system, and it worked. This is a perfect example, guys, of not all money has to be earned the hard way. Perfect example. And you guys have been there too, and you guys have experienced stuff like this, where, for example, you upload a design on Redbubble, and somehow, some way, that Redbubble design gets you sales twice, 3 times, 5 times a week. That's an example of literally not hard work making you money. It was an intelligent move, a calculated move, a specific move that brought you income. For me, this is just one of them. I have so many mistakes that I do. Trust me, I work all the time and I make all kinds of mistakes. But there are some times, and there are a few times, where I just knock it out of the park and I do it right. This was something that I do not regret doing. A lot of the times I get messages from people all the time saying, like, how can I do things for free or the cheapest? And I completely understand the sentiment, but I look back at everything that I invested on, the things that I failed at, the things that I've succeeded at. They all were relatively successful in a way because I've always walked away with something. And when I say that, I mean to say I've walked away with something as in either monetary or knowledge or information or something in between. Most people, right? Most people, when I first came up with this idea and I shared it here on YouTube, most people found 100 different ways to criticize the strategy. Some people said, why would somebody buy a picture on a t-shirt? Some people said, why would somebody buy a picture on a shower curtain? Oh, this doesn't make sense. Oh, it doesn't fit on the product. And they came up with thousands of excuses, guys. Thousands. And those were just excuses for them. They weren't for me. I was going to do it regardless of what people said. Also, a little side note, the same thing when I shared the business idea of doing like a YouTube automation channel, which I actually have one, a faceless automation channel. I got so many comments, and I actually might show the play button eventually. I have a 100K play button. I might show the play button eventually, but it was a side business that I had wanted to start 2 years ago. This is a story, and these are many stories or examples of so many people telling you not to do something, and then you try it, and it ends up being successful. Sometimes you have to invest money. Sometimes you have to invest time. Sometimes you have to invest energy. It's just the way of life. And don't take it from me. Look at other people who have been successful in different industries. Like I said, this was a pretty much calculated move. And I'll say this, I got somewhat lucky because prior to getting this idea, I had tried it a few times with some other platforms, some other things. It was harder to download images. I had to look for the right images. I had to make sure I had the right to upload them and make money off of them. But they actually generated sales here and there. Now, not all of my designs, or even a tenth, or actually even 2% of my designs at the time were image-based ones just like this, like photograph-type images. But I knew that it could work because I knew other people were doing it. And I had done it a couple times myself, got some sales here and there. And I said, what if I dedicated virtual assistants to just doing this one thing? In retrospect, right, looking back, it was actually a genius idea because, like I said, it produced income. And for all the things that I look at and I try that fail, I don't need to win too often to be successful or to make money. If you look at most people in terms of Redbubble, if I had no other account other than that one Redbubble account, I still would have been successful than more than 90% of people who even started Redbubble. Why? Because I've already made tons of videos on why people lack success in Redbubble. They quit too early, they do the wrong things, etc. But kind of all the pieces kind of came perfectly together. So I was testing like this old tool. I found it pretty cool that it works. It's the old tool, but here's the new one. And this is the one that's on the screen that you're seeing here today. I'll leave a link in the description if you want to check it out. But right beside the tool, basically the way it works is you just search for something. So I could search for, example, fish. Actually, I want to search for trees. How about that? I like trees better. It's more picturesque. But you could see here different pictures of trees and different pictures of nature, and I can click download on some images, and I can open up the images here, and they're very high quality. But a new thing that I like to do now is, because some people know this strategy and they've seen some of my older videos, they're probably hogging the market with certain designs. What I would do is I would do something a little bit different. Is in my game now, and this is something that I'm kind of teaching the virtual assistants to do, and really all it takes is 20 minutes for them to learn, is I want them now to download these images from the new tool. And when I say new, guys, this tool is not new. It's just newer than the old one, right? So, I mean, this tool has been around for, I don't know, 7, 8, 10 months, 12, I don't know how long, but it's been around for a while. But I'll go to a software like Leonardo on a free account, might I add. If you look here, I want to call your attention to the top left. I only have 150 tokens on this account. A free account. And what they'll do is for each generation, it will cost 1 token. So I used the wolf picture that you guys just saw, the other one, and I made these wolf photos with it, right? And I could take like the best one out of all of them, right? And I can take that and upload it onto a Redbubble. I can enlarge it with my upscaling tools that are effectively free. Okay, I've talked about this before, which, by the way, if you want to see those videos, I'll leave a link in the description. But basically, the way the system works to make it as efficient and cost-effective as possible, because at the end of the day, I am caring about the cost of my investment, what I'm having done is this tool cost, once again, next to nothing. It's $10 a month. If I pay for the year, then I'm saving $20 a year. Comes out to $100 a year, right? Which I am. There's no reason for me to pay monthly if I know I'm going to use the tool. I'm just saving money on it, right? So instead of paying $120, I'm paying $100, right? And every penny does count, by the way, for profitability. And so I'm taking I'm not doing anything. My virtual assistants are, but they're taking the images, they're downloading them, right? And then they're going to put them in a tool like this. So the way it works is they'll go over here to image guidance, remove the current image, upload the new one. So just take this, drag and drop it, and it will upload. And this is the current image, right? And so I'll go ahead and either increase or decrease the strength depending on how effective I want the image to be. I'll go over here and select my tokens. So let's just say I'll pick 2 tokens. And if I keep it on 2, mind you, I get to produce 75 images a day. What's the current upload limit on Redbubble? It's 30. 30 designs a day. It was cut in half. So I don't even need to produce 75. I could produce 30. I mean, I don't have to, you know what I mean? But the maximum here would, based on the two image generations, that would be 75 a day, right? So I would go over here. I'll type in some characteristics of whatever I want created. I'll type in blue lagoon, for example. I'll type in river pathway, right? Just some random characteristics. I'll type in palm trees, and I'll type in painting. This is an example. I'll also write sunset, and I'll say realistic view, okay? And then what I'll do is I'll see if I want to change my fine-tune model. In this case, I really don't care. And I'll hit generate. And all it cost me is 2 tokens. After the image is produced, I'll take one of the images, the better one, let's just say. I'll download it, and then I'll take it to my upscaling process. So look at this. This image right here is the image. Perfect. I could take this one. I could take this one. I could take whatever image I want. If it just so happens that I feel the image is not perfect, well, guess what? I can fix it. Let me show you how. So I'll take this image without upscaling it, and I'll download it. Now I'll go to my built-in upscaler. Now I don't have it. I don't think I have it on this computer, but my upscaler is basically like a free tool that I pay once for. Once again, I pay once, and I get to upscale as many times as I want, thousands, hundreds of times. I'll put it in the upscale, and it also has an eraser function, which, by the way, like I said, if you want to see that video, you can go watch it. I'll click the link. I'll leave the link in the description. I'll title it Free Upscale and Editing Tool. It's not free. You pay once again, or you pay yearly, and you get the tool and you get to use it as many times as you want, as opposed to paying per upscale. If I do a basic Google search for any kind of upscaling tool, I'm going to have to pay per upscale, and I get these tokens or credits. I don't want that. I want to be able to use the tool for as many upscales as I possibly can get. So anyways, what I'm going to do is I'm going to upscale the image, and then I'm going to erase this little character that you see here, because to me it just doesn't look pleasant. And then what I would do is I would take it and upload it to Redbubble as an example, right? For the people who, like Redbubble, great. You could also upload it to Society6. And speaking of Society6, and I've said this before, but I need to iterate it. Let's go over here to the lessons. So we go to poddegree.com. All right, I want to just pull it up real quick. This is the link. Let's go to poddegree.com. Right? I'll type it in. This is our members area. And in our members area, by the way, you could join. Joining is free. We have a paid lesson where I teach how to get seen on the Society6 marketplace, which is right here. And if you want to get seen in the Society6 marketplace, or excuse me, not if you want to get seen, you do want to get seen. That's something that everybody wants to occur. I mean, there's nobody who's going to sit there and upload on Society6 and just not be seen. The whole point is getting seen. Now, as you guys know, and I've said this before in my goals video in the beginning of the year, my goal is to max out all my Society6 accounts, and yes, I pay for the largest plans on all of them. So, anybody who watches my videos frequently already knows this. But with Society6, what you're doing is you're literally recycling money. When you figure out how to get seen in the marketplace, once again, you guys could go out there and try it yourself, or you could just learn what I've taught and what I've personally experienced. But where is it here? Let me get rid of this link. But once I get seen in the marketplace with my designs, they sell over time. I now took one image, basically a free upscaling tool. And once again, when I say free, I'm just paying once and I get to use the tool an infinite amount of times. A very, very free software if you happen to use this Leonardo app, right? You can also pay for the paid version. I just simply pulled up a free account here for the people who want it free or to decrease the cost as possible. But this is one way out of many to be able to take advantage of a tool like this. Also, not to mention, some people will say, well, why would you use the Unlimited Images Pro tool? Like, what's the point of this? How does this help? Couldn't you just find an image on Google? And the answer is no, you can't just find an image on Google. I'll tell you why. Google Images, right? When you take that image and you place it into this, you have what's referred to as seed technology. This image has a seed number. This image has a seed number. When you pull up the seed, right, in the AI, the where it's made, so Stable Diffusion, and anybody could do this. There's basic tools that allow you to pull up these numbers. The number here is right here. So, for example, if I want to use this number or this image, I can actually pull the seed from it, and I can take the seed and I can place it here, use the fixed seed. Every single software that is AI image related, I can take that seed and I can plug it into other softwares, and they will pull from this image, this data. So when the image is actually created, the original image, which is this one, the image guidance image right here, I have to make sure that I'm legally allowed to use it from a sales standpoint. Why? Because I could be one of those unlucky people, and unfortunately it does happen. I could be one of those unlucky people that use something that is not, I'm not legally allowed to use, and then I get sued. Now, once again, in terms of getting sued, I've spoken about how to protect yourself. You have LLCs, you create a business bank account. There's no intermingling of funds. And that LLC, the main purpose of it, even though you're going to be taxed as a sole proprietorship, The main purpose of it is really two main things. The first thing is taking tax deductions and saving more money at the end of the year, or making more money, because as we know, the number one expense is taxes. But the second, and one arguably the most important, especially if you're in a high-risk business, is having an LLC creates a layer of protection in the law's eyes. So from a tax standpoint, you as a person and the single member LLC are the same individual. There's no difference there. But from a law standpoint, you are two different entities. And so if somebody's going to sue you, they can't sue you, they can sue the LLC. And the LLC has certain assets that it holds. So for example, let's just say you're a homeowner, you have a car, you have a house, and you have $200,000 in the bank. But you also have an LLC just for your print-on-demand stuff on the side. Well, all the print-on-demand stuff fits under that umbrella of the LLC. And assuming there's no intermingling funds, let's say you have $4,000 in the account. If you get sued immediately on that bank account, depending on what the if the judge approves the charges, depending on what it is, your account is going to get frozen. The assets in there are going to get frozen. You're not going to be able to access them. Now, if you're not operating with an LLC, then guess what? Then your personal assets are in jeopardy. Your house, your car, everything that could possibly be taken from you could possibly be taken. Now, some of you might say, well, that doesn't happen to people. I'll give you a perfect example of somebody I personally know that this has happened to. He actually doesn't live far from me. There's a guy on YouTube that some of you may know. His name is Dan De Silva. Let me look him up here. De Silva, okay? And he has actually a really big YouTube channel around, he used to do e-commerce. And this guy here, we both kind of broke out at the same time. He broke out in the e-commerce world, and so was I. I had my brand. I sold my brand. And he kind of became really well known on YouTube back in the day. This was, 8 years ago, something like that. I met him through a guy named Onyx Singal, which he kind of mentors him. He knows him personally. And I met him through him at his Learn Academy. The point is this guy here, this kid, well, he was a kid at the time. I mean, he's a full-grown man now, just like I am. But he got sued for $30,000 for using an image that he wasn't supposed to use. $30,000. Now, why did he get sued $30,000? Because that's all he had the money in his LLC at the time. You could actually look up the lawsuit. You could look it up. Now, of course, he lost because he used an image that he shouldn't be using. So when you use certain things, a lot of people say, well, why would I use the tool when I could just, pull up some image on Google? Well, that's the thing. You're risking every single time. If you live in the United States, if you live in Canada, Australia, the UK, any kind of first world country, you're risking the potential of getting sued. Obviously, if you live in India, nobody's going to go looking for you to sue you. I mean, that's kind of obvious. But, at the same time, keep in mind for all the first world country people, pretty much everybody of these people has money on some level, and they will get sued. In fact, there are actually businesses and there are business models out there, and this is why we live in a litigious society. There are business models out there where there will be creators of certain images. They'll post them on their websites and make sure that they get ranked on Google. And what they're doing is they're fishing for someone. They're hoping someone downloads it and uploads it to whatever business they have illegally, hoping that they could sue them. They don't give them a warning. They go and sue them right away. Now, there's two sides to every story. Some people say, well, you shouldn't be downloading images you don't have the right to anyway, right? That's the first one. And then the second side is someone will say, well, people are not experienced and, all these kind of things, and they make mistakes, which is true, I'll give you another example of someone who's sued. I don't know who this woman's name is, but there is, I believe it was Luke Combs. Let me search Luke Combs lawsuit print on demand. This woman, I believe she created some sort of store. Yep, this was her. She created some sort of store, I think on Amazon or something. I don't remember the exact details, but she's being sued for $250,000 because she used a quote or something like that from one of Luke Combs' song on a T-shirt, something like this. And she was basically on the news saying it wasn't my I didn't. Oh yeah, here it is. So she sold tumblers. I think there was like a quote on it, or something like that, and she's ordered to pay 250,000. Oh, it was his logo. So she was using his logo, and that's an example. That's an image, right? That she doesn't have the rights to on her Amazon store, but she sold like $380 worth, and she got screwed because of it. So, obviously you do what you want. I'm just simply sharing my mentality around things. And so there are two main kind of thought approaches to this. First thing is I want to protect myself as much as possible. Second, obviously with the LLCs and all that kind of stuff. But second, and by the way, guys, if you don't know like what to do from the LLC tax standpoint, I'll leave some videos in the links down below as well. You can access those resources. They could potentially help you. But second is I want speed and efficiency. I've spoken about this since day one. When it comes down to print on demand, my main focus is speed and efficiency. Not everything is going to be perfect, but that's why efficiency matters, because if I'm more efficient, if I have a system, I can improve on certain things. This is the same approach of why I use the Redbubble Rocket Tagger, even myself when I'm doing different designs and I'm tagging different designs on Redbubble. TeePublic, same thing. I'm using the TeePublic tagging optimizer to do the same thing. Why? Because I know I'm going to make mistakes. There's really nothing I could do to stop myself from making mistakes, whether it's my dyslexia and my spelling, or whether I'm not going to pick the right tags. I want a machine to be able to eliminate my human error. And more importantly, it helps with speed. I don't have to sit and think about what keywords to use. I just use the tools and I make it happen. And so that's kind of, I feel, the difference between somebody who takes the business as a hobby or somebody who takes it as a real business. If you're looking to make real money and treat it as a real business, then treat it as a real business. But if you're looking for a hobby, then it really doesn't matter. You don't have to be consistent. You don't have to invest. You don't have to really do anything. But if you're treating it as a real business and you want real results, you have to treat it as such. And your output has to be as such in comparison to your competitors. Think about all the other people out there who are treating Redbubble seriously, TeePublic seriously. And if you're the type of person who cannot imagine there's other people doing it, trust me, there are. And there are people making tens of thousands of dollars doing it. All those people that are doing it, they're beating you every day. And somebody's going to get the sales. The sales have to go to someone. A lot of people get confused and they say, oh, well, Redbubble doesn't make me any money, or it doesn't make any money. The platform last quarter made over $100 million in sales. $100 million. I mean, you could take a piece of that. It could be a small piece, but you could take a piece of that. There's no reason why you shouldn't, right? But like I said, I mean, people are going to succeed if they're meant to. And when I say if they're meant to, it's if they choose to, really. It just depends on how they view things. So hopefully this video helps, guys. I'll leave some resources in the description box down below. But this is what I would do currently with the certain process around this whole system. So it's not that hard. It's not that difficult. Anyone could pretty much do it. It's just a matter of doing it. And there's not many people out there who consistently do it. That's why the top 5% of the people are the wealthiest in the world. They hold all the money, is because most of the time, those are the ones who are willing to do the job or willing to do the task. Other people look for excuses. They'll make complaints. They'll come up with anything in the book of why not to do something. And I'm not saying that this has to be on Redbubble. You don't have to do this on Redbubble. You don't have to do this on Society6. But it's really more like of a life mentality. There's going to be groups of people, and the majority who don't want to do anything and complain. And then you have the other very small group of people who want to go out there and work and get the job done. All right, I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you guys for watching, and peace out. Bye.